Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Welcome back to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about this one. This is going to be really cool. I got a question for you. What if your biggest breakthroughs came from breaking the rules that you were taught to follow? Well, Lydia Knight, who has been a mentor of mine, I'm so excited to have her here, but she is a cult survivor turned executive coach, author, and founder of the She Center. It's one of the top 2% women-owned businesses in the world. Her work is about helping women untangle from mental programming that no longer serves them so that they can step into true freedom and lead with clarity. She's trained leaders at Disney, Adobe, the U.S. Army, just a few little organizations like this, and also has shared her story in her new memoir called Split, which I am currently reading. It is awesome. Lydia's mission is clear. Challenge the patterns that keep us small and build a life that is deeply your own. Lydia, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I've been looking forward to this one.
Agreed. I'm so excited for our conversation. Sue, you've got like such a great reading voice. Like I feel like I heard my bio in a whole new way with like the way you were performing it. It was excellent.
I love it. That's great. Now, if it had been a children's book, I would do the voices.
Yeah, no, I want to hear it with the voices next.
Fantastic. Man, well, I'm so psyched to have you here. Well, the first question is always the same, and it's who do you serve and what problem are you helping them solve? Obviously, we touched on this, but dig a little deeper for us.
For sure. We serve women who are at that point where they've woken up enough from the game, right? Of like, here are the boxes I have to check to be a good person and to get what I want and to do things right. And they realize how unfulfilling that is and how unhappy and burnt out they are. And so they're at that point where they're waking up and they know that there's something better, but they don't quite have a vision for what that can be. And they don't know the principles that are really going to help them to find that authenticity and know what really is a life on purpose, that they will look back and just be thrilled that they like traded the days of their life for something so wonderful. And so that's really where we step in, and we use neuroscience-backed principles to help them to see that there are thought patterns that are driving everything that is making them miserable. And you can change those thought patterns to match your highest self and your most incredible dreams and your most fulfilling existence. And that's who we help and what we do.
That's incredible. That is so incredible. Where are these women when they first come to you? Are they already like, hey, everything is great, I'm crushing it at life? Or are there things that are gutting them and, they just, I don't know. Where are you on that spectrum are people when they first reach out?
Yeah, it tends to be when things look incredible on the outside. Like, yes, now I'm the only woman executive on the team and I made it and I climbed the ladder. Like, here's my dream life. And like from the outside, everyone has that question of like, how did you do it? And then on the inside, there's a secret that they don't want anyone to know. Like, I have this habit that I can't, change. Like, I'm overeating, or, I'm sabotaging myself, or I have this deep imposter syndrome, or I feel like totally just frozen because of this perfectionism that I have. It's the feeling of if they only knew, and with a constant reflection of how did you do it? So it's this awful sort of imposter syndrome, but like lack of integrity internally, because how we feel on the inside doesn't match what people are seeing on the outside.
That's brutal. That is absolutely brutal to get through. And what's it look like for them to work with you?
Yeah. So we are global. We're all over the world. It's amazing to be able to connect with women everywhere, right? In ways that feel like very intimate and incredible, like, over video chat or, live on Zoom. So it feels like it's this crazy experience when you meet someone in person from our community, because it's like, intellectually you haven't met before in person, but you deeply know this person in a way where it's like you're having this cognitive dissonance, like, but I know you so well. So, we serve women all over the world, and it is a loving environment, and it is an environment of acceptance, and there's nothing wrong with you, and really just seeing how we can make the biggest impact. So there's oftentimes this is what we need to change. This is what is going to unlock your happiness and your fulfillment and your authenticity.
Yeah.
And then we go upstream and we look at what are the thought patterns that are driving that. And then we use a system called the 5 Cs that is a modality that we created many, many years ago, 14 years ago, or more now. And we show women how to change their thought patterns that have been
Mm.
to what they don't want, and how to shift those thought patterns to match what they do want. And it's a connection of like, okay, this is the thought pattern, this is how to change it, celebrating every step of the way, and giving them a skill that is so empowering. They get to have that for the rest of their life. Like for the rest of your life, you have a new relationship with your brain. For the rest of your life, like
Yeah.
how to be empowered with anything that's in front of you. So it's this cool shift of identity and skill that is lifelong too.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I can confirm it's been 7 years, I think, since I worked with you, and that was life changing. Like everybody throws that around, but it was legit life changing. My brain, my body, the whole relationships, everything. So yeah, I won't spill the beans on how it's done, but it is just and it happens fast, at least in my case, happened really fast. And I was like, is this real life? Like, oh my gosh, that's how did you, like, I have so many questions. I know that you have had like amazing experiences out in nature that have prompted things, that you have gotten ideas, that you have gotten probably connected dots. You have, you know, just a whole bunch of different thoughts that have hit you that you've been able to integrate and to serve people with. Tell me some of these, like starting from, I guess your journey, but how the outdoors has actually shaped this for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I love the focus of what you talk about here, because when I look back on my journey, some of the most pivotal moments have been when I've changed that pattern and when I've gotten outside. And I'll share one that was life changing. And I know we've talked about that, but like really life changing. So I mean, used to work a lot, like 90-hour weeks for a decade straight. And I saw, and oftentimes this is something that, with the women that we coach, I know this has come up in my life, where you see the amazing results that you can have with massive amounts of effort and work. And you sort of get tricked into this idea of that's the way that things are done. Like that's the one way you can get things done. So we stay in this pattern and we feel like if we ever let that slip, then things are going to come crashing down. Like our incessant work is the thing that's like keeping it all going.
Yes.
So I remember we have a program called Empower that's helping people to change their relationship with food and, to change those kinds of patterns. And it was blowing up at the time. So we were talking to about 150 people a week who were coming to us. I mean, an hour-long session, 150 times a week. Like it's massive. And it was 7 days
Yes.
a week. And it was so much. And it was a beautiful experience. And we were seeing all these women change their lives and get free. And what was happening on the other side of that is we had these women saying, like, our clients, just with tears in their eyes, like, this is the most impactful thing that has ever happened to me. This is the best thing I've ever done. Like, what else is possible? And they wanted more. And at the time, we just had the one program, and we're seeing like these principles are so effective for other things, but we didn't have a next place for them to keep growing. So I had this weight on my shoulders of, I need to figure out what that is. Like, what is the next program to develop? And it felt like a
Yeah.
big thing. And I remember this was like a year that I was trying to figure this out. And I would do like the hard work thing, where I'd go out with like all of my sticky notes and my whiteboards. And I would be like, all right, I'm going to take this entire Saturday. I'm going to figure this out. And I remember being at a business conference and someone asking me like, oh, so do you have like your next level program? And it was so embarrassing. I just broke into tears because I was like so stressed about it. Like, no, I don't know what it is. So at the same time, I had a coach. Every good coach has a coach. And they were teaching me about how important rest is and how important recovery is. And I had just
Mm.
never taken a break. I'd been working since I was 11 years old. I like didn't believe in breaks. I'm like, I've
Yes.
got the world to save from these problems. Like, I love my mission. And so it felt very just all consuming of like, this is
Mm.
what I do. But I was really understanding how important it was to take those breaks. So, Sue, I decided to take one day off.
Whoa. Even if the world might stop, right?
Well, I had to put so much in place so the world didn't stop, just to like show you how much I was like holding up. Like I had to prep my whole team and all of our systems for me to be able to unplug for like one day. So I don't know the skill of rest. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what to do with myself. So I took this one day off and I was like, what do people do when they rest? I'm like, hammocks. Hammocks are places that people relax. So I went outside and I found some little camping hammock that we had and I put it between two trees and I like left my phone in the house and I laid in this hammock with like nothing to do. And I looked up into the trees and I got bored like really fast because I was so used to doing.
Yes.
And I was bored for a moment. And then it was like a download into my brain, Sue.
Mm.
12 months of content for this whole next level program, the outcome, the specifics, the timeline. It wasn't like, oh, I got the finishing touches. It was the entire, like what
Mhm.
is now our executive coaching program, Rise, the entire first year of content and structure landed in my brain. I like jumped off of the hammock and I know, like I totally went back to working, but still,
That's dangerous, jumping off a hammock.
true. There was probably something more safe that I did, but I got off the hammock and I like couldn't write down notes fast enough.
Mhm.
To this day, it is like earlier today I was doing our executive coaching. It's been, like 7 years later now. A client that's been working with us for years. Like was she was tears in her eyes thanking me for the incredible program that has changed her life in so many ways. And I thought, Sue, like that happened while I was in a hammock. Like
Right.
this woman's incredible celebration and her totally transforming her life was because I was out in nature and I tried to force that for like over a year. And I think
Yes.
there are things that we can force in the old way that we're used to and we're never going to get there. And when
Mhm.
we walk outside and look at a tree and are in
Yeah.
nature, everything changes.
It really does. I love that. And I love you referred to it as a skill of rest. And that is like,
Yeah.
I don't think that we have, many of us do not have that skill. And there's that definite sense of really uneasiness if we're, like, what do I stopped. What happens? What if I can't get going again? Is this it? Have I just like by taking a pause, have I just derailed everything that I've been working so hard for?
Yeah.
And I love like it was literally minutes for you sitting in the hammock before this
It
hit.
wasn't that long. Like I got bored within minutes and it was like, yeah, it might have been within minutes, 30 minutes max. Like this
That's
was
incredible.
the return on rest is incredible. We talk about the return on work day in and
Mhm.
day out. You can find whole Instagram accounts that are just like, disappear and work harder than you ever have in your life and come back unrecognizable. I'm like, how about go and lay in a hammock for 30 minutes and come back unrecognizable? Like,
It sounds
yeah,
scary. Right?
like in a good way.
That's how creativity works. It's an incredible experience having you you I mean, you weren't even sitting in the hammock going, I'm going to solve this problem. You're like, fine, I'll rest. Like,
Yeah. It
fine.
was the exact opposite. It was like, I am here to do nothing. And some of the best things have happened in my life intentionally doing nothing and being out in nature. Like
It's
those two things in
amazing.
combination is phenomenal. And
That
I'm
is
still
phenomenal.
building trust with that. I think we're all building trust with that.
Sure, because it's counterintuitive to somebody who's just been driven for so long, and who has gotten great results by working your face off, and it's like, it takes a relearning to value that rest and the nervous system regulation that happens. All of that kind of stuff is just, nobody's teaching that. The gurus are not teaching take a break. They're like, work, you better outwork everybody because that's how it's done. And
Yeah.
yet, here 7 years later, you've got incredible testimonials from the download you received. I would imagine, I mean, you've put together many programs before. Having that complete download, it wasn't like you were having to scurry, well, oh, wait, what am I going to do about this? What about that? When you've got the download, you got the download. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that it's incredible to see the power of refining from experience, right? Like with our Empower program, that's about changing habits on our relationship with food and body. That interestingly enough came as a download as well. But once we had it, over 9,000 people that we've coached since 2010, you refine it, and that's a great thing. And what's really interesting about the sorts of principles that I've received as a download, like I did for our Rise executive coaching, is it 7 years later and it hasn't changed much. Like those principles have held up so well. And it's phenomenal to see the things that we receive in that sort of raw state tend to be those core principles that aren't a lot of trial and error. It's like, wow, this works. And I couldn't have sort
that's
of forced
amazing.
my way through figuring this out as much as like, thank you, tree, or wherever it came from. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but thank you.
That's amazing. If you were to look back, and I won't ask you for a number, but I'm imagining if you were to assign an ROI from that half hour or so in the hammock, I'm thinking it was probably pretty good. Like, just
Yeah,
financial. I mean, even just looking at numbers, like probably pretty good.
for sure. Absolutely. I remember, there are always ups and downs in the market and, you change things and there's always problems to solve as a business owner. And I remember there was one year where we were really struggling with, some marketing and some funnels. And we looked back, and the reason that we survived that year was because of the financial support of what we were doing in our executive coaching sort of kept everything afloat. Like
Oh, amazing.
that moment in the hammock is something like a reason that we can say we're still here.
Oh. You need to write to the hammock maker and tell your story. Can you
I know.
imagine the
A
marketing they
link
could do?
below, like use my affiliate code for hammocks.
But they could put that like, okay, you think you're just buying camping equipment, but here's what you could really use this
Here's
for.
the Want to build a top business? Have you heard of hammocks?
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Do you have other stories like that? Like
Uh,
things that have just occurred to you, like out in nature?
yeah, well, it's interesting because you think of like the principles of what happened out in nature. So I was thinking about like the five C's, the principles that are neuroscience backed, which I found out later, like, oh, these are all like neuroscience backed, but I found out first that they work, came at a really, super low point. And it wasn't necessarily in nature, but I think there are a lot of really interesting parallels in the
Mhm.
principles here because I'm a cult survivor. I grew up in a cult within the Mormon church. My grandmother was a cult leader. I had then had like a decade-long abusive marriage. Like it was really, really rough. And then I was dealing with this eating disorder and I was binge eating and it was horrible. And I remember I wanted so badly to be able to fix this problem. I'm like, I can't believe I've done all of this to survive only to have my life destroyed by something stupid like food. Like I was just so mad about
Right.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was at this super low point where like I thought, if this is going to be life, like I probably don't want to do this anymore.
Hmm.
And what I did was I collapsed in my closet and I was just like weeping in my closet, thinking it doesn't make sense to keep going. And it was in that moment that I had the thought, the download, whatever we want to call it, that what if I used the principles that I used to deprogram from the cult that I grew up in, and I applied it, like I wonder if I can deprogram from my eating disorder like I deprogrammed from the cult. And in
Wow.
1 week, I was completely done and free, and we've helped over 1,000 other women to be free. But I think there's something about being in nature that is like a surrender, right? Like just like
Yes.
collapsing in that closet, just like laying in that hammock. It's like we have access to some of the most valuable things that are outside of our reach when we have that narrow focus of I've just got to
Mm.
figure this out and I've got to work harder and I've got to put more efforting toward this. So I think
Yes.
in some ways being out in nature is like a collapse of surrender and what we
Yeah.
can receive when that resistance is down.
Oh my gosh. I love that you said that. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole experience being outside and seeing like I had this. So we're on these 30 acres with trees everywhere. I love trees. This is so cool. And I remember, we're building the retreat center. It's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to fund this? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of scarcity thinking. And fine, I'm just going to go for a walk. And I'm out there. And it was like, I felt like God was telling me, go count all the leaves, count every leaf that's here. I'm like, I can't do that, right? Well, you love leaves, right? You love trees. This is so cool. Well, I just ballpark, I'm like, it's got to be, we got to have 100,000 trees probably. And maybe each tree has 100,000, 1,000 leaves. I have no idea. It's numbers that are so mind boggling. And it was like, huh, that's interesting. There are so many things, there's so many cues that we can take from time out in nature that apply to whatever we're dealing with at the time. The emotional stuff, it's almost like there's an analogy in for anything that you need. There's always an insight that can happen. What have you found, like neuroscience wise? Because I'm fascinated by that. Because same thing, I discovered, oh, this works, and I'm like, wait, there's science behind this. Like, oh my gosh, it's actually a thing, right? Like grounding, what? That's a thing, right? Are there any neuroscience principles that are just blowing your mind right now that you're like, that's incredible, especially related to outside stuff?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so part of the method that we teach our clients is that we have this conversation of competing voices in our head all the time,
Mhm.
right? It's like oh, I should do this. And then the other part of your brain is just like, oh, why would you do that? Why do you have ideas like that? It's like, who exactly am I arguing with in there, right?
It's
We've got
yeah,
all of these
exactly.
different voices. And there's so much suffering just in that, just in the
Mhm.
chatter in our brain that's always back and forth. So, a neuroscience principle that has been one of the most powerful that we've taught people over the years is that if you can get your higher brain online and have this sort of chatter that your lower brain is producing that's making you miserable and keeping you stuck, and observe it from a different part of your brain that feels more like your higher self, then you can start doubting it, you can start changing it, you can start transforming it, you can start getting perspective on it. And it's really, really powerful. So there are different ways that you can do that to really intentionally wake up the higher brain. And a really fun thing about how we are as humans and what our brain does is our brain cares about patterns. And when our brain is outside of our usual pattern or environment, it starts thinking a new way. So what
Mm.
fires together wires together. That's Hebb's law. That's like how we can transform our brains because of that. So if you think of like when you're in front of your computer, you're firing and wiring together all the same stuff. You're in all the same patterns. You're like, this is how I sit in my chair and this is where I put my coffee. And you're sort of on autopilot. And the
Mhm.
cool neuroscience part of going outside is that all of those patterns and connections just fade away because you don't
Yeah.
have stuff as fired and wired together with nature because it's not as static. It's not your everyday. It's like, what? Like, I was driving today. I was driving my daughter to school. I saw two squirrels on the road. And like, we don't have a lot of squirrels here. So I don't know why, but I'm just like, squirrels, they're so cool. But it's this pattern interrupt when you go outside
Mhm.
because it's always evolving and changing because it's like nature. And so it's a way to really get your higher brain online. And it's a way to understand things in a whole new way because you're outside of those regular patterns. So I love that you brought up that, like, you went out and, thought of the trees and the leaves on the trees. And that was a pattern interrupt for your brain.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because, Sue, in our executive coaching, I give the same sort of coaching when someone specifically is in scarcity mindset, is to go outside because
Mhm.
nature is incredibly abundant. The way
Oh
that
yeah.
it produces fruit and flowers and just like ridiculous amounts of abundance is
Yeah.
such a cool pattern for our brain to see. So yeah, there's so many ways that being in that environment in nature impacts our brain.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Like the pattern interrupt. I mean, that is brilliant. I just love. I'm compiling like I feel like a squirrel with a whole bunch of nuts gathering these neuroscience science principles. And like, hey, here, try this one. Like that's that is so cool. And now you've got a retreat center as well. That's part of your whole business. Is there time outside? What's it like?
Yeah, okay. So it's it's our home and we specifically bought our home because it's like a retreat center. It's this beautiful place and one reason that we have this is because there was an artist that owned our home for 17 years before we got here. And an artist that is just so abundant and creative and eccentric and like so for instance, if you go outside, there are huge pieces of rose quartz just like paved in the path and there's like beams that are hand painted and there's a 6 foot geode that's just like right outside of my office which is like all of these beautiful crystals.
It's
So
amazing.
it's nature and it's also cultivated in such a beautiful way. And a big part of like when, in a few weeks, we're going to have a retreat here where women are going to come and we're going to learn incredible neuroscience principles and deprogram from the things that are holding us back. And a big piece of that is we'll learn some of these really powerful principles and then we'll integrate by going outside. And it was so interesting. Like we had a client here for a retreat a little while ago, and these principles just changed her life in an incredible way. And the moment that it really integrated for her is she was laying outside and she's like, realized she never does this. She's like, I never just take time to slow down and be outside. And she started watching a little trail of ants that was going up the tree. And as she was watching those ants and being in this peaceful quiet, she started having all of these wonderful insights of putting together the principles we've been learning and how they apply to her life and what she was inspired to do next. But it's in those moments. And that's why we integrate that of like, yeah, we're going to spend time where we're not rushed and where we're outside and where you could just be with nature. Because like we are nature. It's funny how we're
Yeah.
like, nature is out there and I'm in here. It's like, well, you built some walls around you, but like you're still nature.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't
when people
escape
are
it.
like, I'm not into nature. I was like, you are nature.
Yeah, it's like, look at your hand.
That's an incredible. I love that you're doing the integration outside because that's like, and you mentioned the word, oh, like I love the word unhurried, unrushed, and
Ah,
it's like, because it is incredible how sometimes it just happens in a moment. But when you have that block of time that is totally devoted to you're just going to sit there outside. Like, it's like, wait, what? You got to go through the phases of grief, like angry. I don't want to, denial. I can't sit here. Like
yeah.
and when we're able to finally breathe, and so she's just watching these ants, probably because the brain is like, what do I do? What do I do? Okay, watch the ants.
Watch the thing that's moving.
It's so incredible. Do you have hammocks there? Like,
You know what? so, so I'm looking at it right now. I have an indoor hammock in my
oh,
office. That's how much
nice.
I'm just like, I love hammocks.
That's
I also
so
have a
great.
hammock outdoors, but
That's
yeah,
so great.
I love being on a hammock. It's just, and it's also, it's interesting how we integrate these memories of how impactful it was out on that hammock. Like
Mm,
I know my whole nervous system just feels so much better, not just
yeah.
outside, but like on a hammock outside. Like it's this beautiful, almost like being supported and suspended.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lovely feeling.
That's so great. When you were working the 90-hour weeks, did you go outside at all, or was it just kind of not even a thought, much less, a desire?
I probably went outside less than I ever have in my life during that
Mhm.
time. And it's interesting how we can get into a bit of that tunnel vision of, or
Yeah.
even telling ourselves the story of as you have to earn going outside.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I get to this goal, or as soon as I get all my work done, or as soon as I have some time off, or as soon as I feel safe in this, or as soon as everyone else is taken care of. And I
Yeah.
think it's so important to put that time just like prioritizing like we would a meeting with someone else. It's like
Mm,
you're going to show up and you're going to build that into your day. So yeah,
that's so
that
cool.
was a time in my life where it was that tunnel vision of just work harder and harder and harder until,
Yeah.
and you're pushing that until further and further off because you're
Yeah,
not taking that time to like actually
exactly.
get the solutions in the easy way.
Oh, it's crazy. What does it look like for you now? Like, do you have a daily practice that you have? I mean, you're surrounded by such beautiful things outside. I've seen the clip of your property and it's just stunning, even for there are not many trees, but I'm still like, all right, I like that. It's still as gorgeous as gorgeous. What does that look like for you now? Is there like an outdoor ritual, a practice that you like to do that you're like, that's my go-to? Is there something?
Yeah. So, just speaking of like rest and being out in nature, I have just started a sabbatical year where like the rest that always was the prize at the end of the rainbow. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to die someday and I want to do this now. So I'm only doing the work that I love. I'm doing our executive coaching and we're building an app. And like, so I'm doing some things that like really feel amazing. I have an incredible team that's taking care of the rest. And I've opened up on purpose all of this time and space in my life for relationships and for unstructured and unhurried and nature and all of that. And what's interesting, Sue, is that in with the intention to do whatever I want and to not have a goal and to not be productive, the thing that I have really settled into is being outside. Like I can do anything. I have got to tell you, I spend almost the entire day outside now.
What are you
Uh,
doing out there? That's so cool.
but I love it. So having comfortable outdoor furniture because I care about
Yes,
comfort. So that's a nice
huge.
thing. Being in Santa Fe, New Mexico, it's pretty much lovely to be outside all year round because there's just, even when there's snow, there's sunshine. And so it's like a perfect time of year to do that. But, I wake up in the morning and I go outside. Like that's the first thing that I do. I go outside and I do some movement and I get sunshine on me and it feels wonderful. And then I go in and I make my breakfast and then I eat my breakfast outside.
Yes.
And then I journal or I read or whatever, but it's all continuously outside. I'll tell you to the extreme that I've taken this. I realize that I have free agency and that I don't have to go camping to sleep outside. So I went to like a garage sale and I got this great air mattress for $1 and I put it outside and I slept outside the other day, just right outside my house under the stars. Like no tent, no anything, just like me
Wow.
and the stars. And it
Oh,
feels so good. It's interesting to see of anything that I could give myself to nurture myself, what like my body and my nervous system wants is to just be outside all the time.
that's so cool. I love that so much.
It's almost like
Oh
my
my
growing edge of like,
gosh.
what else can I do outside?
Yeah, right. I know. You got to get an outdoor shower. That's the next thing.
Yep, yep, that would be a good one.
It is really nice. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lydia, that is so cool. I'm so excited for everything that you're creating. Where do you want this to go like long term? What are you thinking?
Yeah, like the outside thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, so I love this. I really, my focus right now is to not think of where it's going for the first time in my life. Like, there isn't oh, well, this is going to turn into this, and then it'll turn into this other thing. I really have brought myself back to, I'm just going to enjoy what it is right now. And it
Mm,
is fun to play with like what this could be. But the other day, like, I just had a vision of, I'm looking out sort of like at our property right now. And I had this beautiful vision of, me just doing live coaching and supporting women,
mm.
but like we're all out on blankets, out on the grass, right? And like we
Oh,
maybe have a little mic system so everyone can hear, but like we're there under the stars or under the sun or in the shade of the tree and
mm.
just having that experience, but having it be where we're all connected together, like, on the ground, in the air outside.
I love that. That is so cool. I can see it. Like that's oh man, that's awesome. All right, where can people find out more about working with you and your book and anything else that you want to share that they can,
Yes.
I
Oh,
know people are going to vibe with you. They're going to be like, "All right, I want more."
I love that. And it's such a fun thing to think of the great things that we have coming up and the energy with which they're built. Like, I'm really proud of what we've done over the last 14 years. And I'm also really proud of how we've changed and how we're building things now, really from a place of enjoyment and pleasure and peace and, connectedness. And it's just nice. So we made it all really easy. You can just go to theshecenter.org/podcast. And there you can find a link to, it's called Split, a double memoir. It's the story of how I grew up in a cult and my dad's story of looking for his kids for 25 years. You can find our Rise executive coaching there. You can see our upcoming events. And something that is so exciting is we are very close to releasing an app that we've created. This last year has been a journey for me of deprogramming from capitalism. Like that's the layer that I'm working on right now. And part of that is, we've been teaching executives and we've been teaching leaders, and that's been wonderful. And I've really had a true desire to have the principles that are so effective in changing lives and creating the lives that we want, to have those just open and available. So the app is free, the content is free, it's going to be available to every woman in the world. So the app is coming out soon. And I'll give you
Oh,
a fun little neuroscience tip. So when you go to the address bar and type in theshecenter.org/podcast, that marks this space, this bridge of I listened to a podcast and now I'm taking action on it. Because a lot of times we're consuming information. So when you actually do something, like you're typing that in, you're going to the page. I know this sounds silly, but it's backed by neuroscience. Do a little happy dance. Do a little
oh,
celebration of yeah, I went there. I'm seeing the page. Because when you give your brain that celebration of I am celebrating, I'm setting apart this action where I'm not just consuming information, where I'm doing something about it. That's a really beautiful way to reinforce that for your brain. So
I
lots of fun
love
things coming
that.
up.
That is so cool. I love that. There you go. Neuroscience for you all, folks.
Yep, it's the best.
I love this. I thank you so much for being my guest. This is, it meant a lot for you to come on the show and share. Thank you.
It's been such a joy. I am so proud of what you're doing. This is some of the most important work. And yeah, thanks for welcoming me on.